Friends, I have a story for you today. The year was 1981. Do you remember this year? How many of you were around? If you were around in 1981, comment below. Now, 1981, I was quite young. I would have been all of 7 years old. I was a young delinquent. And thinking back to that time, what was going on in 1981? Well, what movies were popular? Well, there was Tron, Annie, you know, the little redhead orphan kid. Personal favorite, Excalibur. Personal favorite movie of mine. On the radio, we would have heard songs like Lady from the Commodores, Urgent by Foreigner. What else would have been playing on the radio? Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton. That type of stuff. But during that time, my mama, decided to take guitar lessons. And recently I have come across the guitar lesson book that she used for her lessons. Now, interesting. We're going to delve into this a little bit. Now, back at that time, I remember looking through this, and this looked like a foreign language to me. I could make no sense of it with the notes and everything. And I remember she had a very cheap classical guitar. And of course I couldn't play it, but I had a fascination of doing this. And I remember doing that for quite, it didn't take a lot for me to just get distracted back then. What? Kind of like now. But anyway, I remember my mom, she didn't stick with it for very long. And I remember even recently asking her who the guitar teacher was. She said, I don't remember. But I have a distinct memory of her with her guitar, which I think I destroyed years later when I got into guitar. But anyway, Instant Fun Guitar. Okay, so let's keep in mind, learning and education materials, all we had back then were books, okay? If you had a computer in 1981, it was a big deal at the time, but it didn't even have a fraction of the capability of your smartphone now. Pretty embarrassing to say the least, okay? So, one of the things with guitar, like you had to take lessons. We had to have this knowledge passed down from one person to another. Introduction, okay? The author, Robert Mitchell. I dare say he's probably not alive anymore. This is 41 years old, folks. 41. And it might even be older than that, but I remember it was 1981 when she took her lessons. I know you're anxious to get started learning to play your guitar. This book will do a great deal to get you started quickly. The guitar, probably more than any other instrument, is easy to learn. I don't know if I'd say it's easy, but, with some work, you can get it done, yeah. With just an hour or so of practice, you can be playing chords for sing-along sessions. Like any other instrument, though, to be able to play solos in more difficult songs, a great deal of time and effort must be put forth. Okay. An hour or so of practice for an absolute beginner is way too much. Any of my students, I say practice no more than 10 minutes a day. Let's see what else he says here. Each chord you'll be learning will be used again many times in other songs. Learn them well, be able to find them quickly, and in no time you'll be on the road to playing the guitar. For the most part, the songs you will learn in Instant Fun Guitar, that's what it's called, Instant Fun, like it's instant. Instant. Are of the old favorites variety. There are many reasons why we use these songs, but the biggest reason is because these songs have simple chord patterns and are generally familiar tunes for most people. As you progress through this book, keep in mind that additional Instant Fun Guitar books are available, blah, 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 blah. See, what did I say about being able to stay focused? A word of caution. Playing guitar is fun. Yeah, it is. But don't overdo it during your first few sessions. I tell all my students that. It'll take your fingers a while to get used to depressing the strings. Now we'd probably just say pressing them, because if you use the word depress, people these days think of something different. Keep your practice sessions to no more than 1/2 hour in the beginning. That is way too much, my friends. For an absolute beginner, way too much. Short periods of daily practice are much more beneficial than the long sessions done infrequently. That's very true. But 1/2 hour of practice is way too much for an absolute beginner. I say 10 minutes. And I often say if you can get through the first month or two, I give my students a little bit of work. Do this, get it down for next week. We start building and go from there. But as they get better and more used to it, you got to remember, guys, you're training your nervous system, your fingers, the muscles in your fingers. your motor units, your hand-eye coordination. It takes time. And your body can only absorb so much. One of the things when I teach like type A personalities, like really successful people or really driven people, I've had a few over the years where I say, no, just 10 minutes a day. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to practice 2 hours a day. And I'm like, you're going to burn out. No! Well, 2 months later, they stop lessons. Okay, so it talks about how to hold the guitar, the position of the left hand. How to tune your guitar. They have a section here where it says how to tune to a piano. Now, I think for any beginner, especially if this is your first foray into a musical instrument or learning music, that would be very, very, very difficult. Another method of tuning, they try and talk about, how to practice going, let me demonstrate for you. You got to remember, guys, if you're an absolute beginner, try and put yourself in the position of an absolute beginner. So they're also trying to talk about how to tune doing this. That would be hard for an absolute beginner. They talk about using a pitch pipe. The downstroke. The first chord they give you is a C. Not the best chord to give a beginner, but okay. And they have a G7 chord. Again, this is not a good chord for a beginner because of the stretch. So they have Skip to My Lou here. Skip to My Lou. Okay, so it has... So now here we're doing... So we got chord note strumming going on. Yeah, okay, so we got chord note strumming, okay. But then they have standard notation, meaning music, how to play that. What if the person doesn't know how to read music? I think they're making some assumptions here. Right, like, if people can't read that, how are they? I just feel bad. I'm reading this now, and I feel bad for my mom, and I feel bad for people who have learned back then. That would have been... It's really interesting when I look at this now. Oh, My Darling Clementine, Buffalo Gals. They have a song here, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Okay, 6/8 time. Okay, Frankie and John. They have an F chord. The next chord they teach you is an F chord. That are the 15 beginner open chords. That is the most difficult by far because it starts with an F. A lot of people refer to it as that effing chord, okay? I often refer to it as the chord that causes beginners to quit the most. Not a good chord to show an absolute beginner. Yankee Doodle Dandy, There's a Tavern in the Town. Silent Night. Tom Dooley, Old MacDonald Had a Farm. So there's a lot here with these new chords. I feel bad for people learning guitar back then. You really would have had to have had the patience of Job to Alouette. Oh, this page fell out. Alouette, that's a famous French song. It's about plucking the feathers out of a bird. Kind of mean. That would have been animal abuse now. Old Grey Mare. Careless Love on top of Old Smoky. D, A7. He's got the whole world in his hands, okay? I'm going to go see my mother today. And I'm actually going to give her a hug because this would have been torture. Think about it. For all you guitar teachers or students that have been out there for playing for a long time, C chord as your first chord to learn, then a G7. And there's standard notation, so like F, an F chord as your third chord that you learn. That is always, when I teach the 15 beginner open chords, I always leave that one till the end. Okay? Usually I start teaching like with an E minor, something that's much easier. So I'm looking back at this thinking, I don't blame my mom for not sticking with it. I don't know who her teacher was, but this was brutal. So the chords that you learn, first is C, then G7, F, G, D7, D, and A7. Yeah, well, it's kind of neat now. I can read it and I understand what's going on. I remember as a kid, this just was frustrating to me. I had no idea, and I just pick it up and do what I did earlier. But I feel bad for people who learn the guitar back. And this is even before guitar tablature came out. So guitar tablature is a shorthand way of writing out music for stringed instruments that's a lot easier for people to learn. But like this here, it's loaded with standard notation, meaning notes, like actual reading music. And if someone doesn't know how to read, how are you supposed to play it in the book? It doesn't teach you how to read in this book. This is so weird. But I think what they're doing is they're basing this more off a rhythm. Like it gives you a chord, then how to play a rhythm along with a song. But it doesn't talk really about doing chord transitions or anything. Oh my God, I feel so bad for people learning guitar back then. This would have just been brutal. I'm actually depressed now. So when I see my mom later today, I'm going to give her a big hug and a kiss and say, Mom, I'm sorry. Learning the guitar back then, you just didn't have a chance. So this is my mother's guitar lesson book from 41 years ago. 1981, guys. 1981. There it is. Thank God, learning guitar has come a long way with the material that's out there now. Plus, there's a lot of good guitar teachers out there, like me. Anyways, folks, remember, practice hard, practice smart. Don't use this book, and we'll see you soon.